Okay, today we're going to be doing page 38. Make sure you label that. And today we're going to be talking about customary units of measurement. So these are the ones that are not a part of the metric system. Customary units of measurement. Okay, there are three different things that we measure usually. The first one is distance. Okay, so how far it is from one point to another, or how long something is. Okay, the second one we do is mass, or weight. So how much something weighs. And the last one we do is volume. How much space something takes up. Okay, so in the customary system, in distance, our smallest unit of measurement is inches. Okay, and so the next one after that is feet. Well, there are 12 inches in 1 foot. Okay, the next one after feet is yards, and there are 3 feet in 1 yard. And that's about as long as your arms stretched out from fingertip to fingertip. Okay, and then we jump a whole lot. The next one is a mile. And we usually go from feet to miles, so we're going to write that 1 mile is equal to 5,280 feet. And a way that I learned to remember it was 5280, 5 tomato. It's just a way to help you remember the number. Okay, in mass, the smallest measurement we have is ounces. After that, we measure in pounds. There are 16 ounces in 1 pound. And there are 2,000 pounds in the next one, which would be 1 ton. So 2,000 pounds equals 1 ton. That's all we have to worry about for mass. Now volume's the one that people seem to get more confused because there are more sized units that we measure in. Okay, the smallest one we have are fluid ounces. Remember, this is how much space something takes up. We're talking about 3-dimensional space here. So 8 fluid ounces. Notice these are fluid ounces and not just ounces. Ounces is weight, fluid ounces is volume. 8 fluid ounces equals 1 cup. Next one after cups are pints. And there are 2 cups in each pint. After that, we have quarts. There are 2 quarts, or 2 pints, sorry, in 1 quart. And then the biggest one we have is gallons. In 1 gallon, we have 4 quarts. A way to remember quarter, there are 4 of them in 1 gallon. Okay, those are all the ones that we're going to worry about today. Now what we need to worry about is we are going to be going from one unit to another. So we'll be given a certain amount of a unit and we'll be asked to turn it into how many cups or quarts or pints or whatever it wants us to do. Now, the important part to realize is when you're doing this, you are not changing the size of whatever you're measuring. You are changing the unit you are measuring with. So, I want you to skip 1 line and you're going to write these phrases, okay? When going from larger units to smaller units, So when I'm going from something like gallons to quarts, it's going to take more quarts to measure that same amount of punch or water or whatever I'm measuring. It's going to take more of the quarts to measure the same amount as it would in gallons. So when I'm going from larger units to smaller units, it will take more. So we need to multiply. Okay, opposite direction when going from smaller units to larger units. Example, going from inches to feet. If I'm measuring in inches, it's going to take way less feet to measure that same distance. So it's going to take less of those units. So when going from smaller units to larger units, it will take less. So we divide. Now, depending on what unit you're going from and to, you're going to use these numbers up here to help us get there. This just tells you if you're going to divide or multiply by those numbers. So, skip a line. And I want you right over here to the far left, I want you to write 2 gallons. And we want to turn that into pints. Okay, gallons are the largest measurement for volume, and I'm going to pints. So it's going to take way more pints than it is gallons. So my number is going to get larger. So what am I going to do? I'm going to multiply. Now I just need to decide what I'm multiplying by. If I'm going from gallons to pints, I'm going to multiply by 4, but I'm also going to have to multiply by 2. So I'm going to multiply by 4. That would get me to quarts, but that doesn't get me to pints. So then I multiply by 2, and that will get me to pints. So 2 times 4 is 8. 8 times 2 would be 16. So 2 gallons is the same as 16 pints. Okay, let's try another example. Just to skip a little space on that same line. We're going to go 3 yards, and we're going to turn that into inches. So I'm going from yards to inches. Once again, yards are larger than inches, so I'm going to need more inches, so my number is going to get bigger. So I'm going to times. Now I just need to decide what I need to times by. To go from yards to inches, well, I need to go to feet first and then into inches. So I'm going to times by 3. And then I'm going to times by 12 to get it to inches. So times by 3 and times by 12. Now some of you are thinking, well, can't I just times by 36? Yes, you can. And 3 times 12 is 36. So if you can see that, that's just fine. So 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 12 is 108. Or 3 times 36 would have given you 108. It doesn't matter either way. 108 inches is what you have. Okay, skip a line. Let's try this one. Now, I have 18 ounces. Now notice this is just ounces. This is not fluid ounces. So I am talking about weight. And I want to turn that into pounds. Okay, ounces are smaller than pounds. So since I'm going to a larger unit, it's going to take less. So I'm going to be dividing. Now I need to divide by the number that links pounds and ounces, which would be 16. So when I divide 18 by 16, I'm just going to work that out over here. 18 divided by 16. 16 goes in 18 one time. Take 16 out, there's 1 pound, and that leaves me with a remainder of 2. Now, I want my answers to be in fractions. So 1 and 2/16, but 2/16 is not as reduced as I can make it, so I'm going to simplify that fraction by dividing by 2 to both the top and the bottom. And that leaves me with 1, and 2 divided by 2 is 1. 16 divided by 2 is 8. So my answer is 1 and 1/8 pounds. All right, let's try another example. Let's do 72 fluid ounces. Okay, skip a line. Let's do 72 fluid ounces. So now I'm talking about volume. And we need to turn that into pints. Okay, if I'm going from fluid ounces to pints, this is a small unit to a larger unit. It's going to take less to measure that same amount. So my number is going to get smaller, so I'm going to be dividing. Now I just need to decide what I'm going to divide by. So to go from ounces to pints, I need to divide by 8, but then I also need to divide by 2. So divide by 8, and then divide by 2. Dividing by 8 would have just gotten me to cups, but I need to go all the way to pints, so I'm going to divide by 2 to get from cups to pints. So 72 divided by 8 would be 9. Then I have to do 9 divided by 2. 9 doesn't divide evenly by 2. Some of you might be able to do that in your head, which is great. If you can't, write it out. 2 goes into 9 4 times. 2 times 4 is 8. That leaves me with 1, so I get a remainder 1. So this would be 4 and 1 out of 2 pieces, so 1/2. So this would be 4.5 pints. Okay. Skip another line. We're going to try this one. How about we do 3/4 of a ton equals how many pounds? Okay, if I'm going from tons to pounds, then I am going down in units. So since I'm going down, it's going to take more of them. So my number is going to get larger. So I need to multiply. And I'm going to multiply it by 2,000. So 3/4 times 2,000. Okay, I'm going to cross cancel where I can. I know 2 goes into both 2,000 and 4. So divide by 2 here, that gives me 2. Divide by 2, that gives me 1,000. Oh, I know that 1,000 and 2, I can do that again. So I'm going to divide this by 2 and get 500. Down here, divide by 2, that gives me 1. Okay, so 3 times 500 is 1,500. Over 1 times 1 is 1. So that tells me my answer is 1,500 pounds. All right, let's try another one. How about we do 2 1/4 quarts. And we want to turn that into pints. Okay, if I want to turn that into pints, I'm going from quarts to pints. Once again, I'm going from larger to smaller, so my number is going to get bigger. So I'm going to times by, now let's look up here and see what we're doing. To go from quarts to pints, I just need to times by 2. So if I times by 2, let's set that problem up. Okay, we have a mixed number here. So I'm going to turn this into an improper fraction. So 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. So that gives me 9/4 times 2/1. The times 2 there. Okay, cross cancel where I can. 2 goes into both of these. 2 goes into 4 twice. 2 goes into 2 once. 9 and 1 is, I don't need to worry about. So 9 times 1 is 9 over 2 times 1 is 2. And 9 goes into 2. Or sorry, 2 goes into 9. I wrote it wrong. I said it right. I can't get that right today. 9 divided by 2. 2 goes into 9 4 times. Minus 8 gives me 1. remainder 1 then. So that would be 4 and 1/2 pints. Okay, so you can do this whether they're whole numbers, fractions, or mixed numbers. Okay, let's try one more example. Let's do 46 fluid ounces. And I want that to be in cups. Okay, so this is our last one. Okay, fluid ounces to cups. I'm going from a small one to a larger unit, so I need less of them. So I'm going to divide. This is going to take less. Now what's my magic number to divide by? Look up here. Ounces to cups would be 8. So I'm going to take 46 and divide by 8. Eight goes into 46. How many times? 8 times 6 is 48, so 7 times. So minus 56. What am I doing? 8 times 6 is 48, so that means I would have had to go to 5. Alright, and this is where you check yourself, right? 5 times 8 is 40. I don't even know what I was thinking there. Alright, now that looks much better. 46 minus 40 gives me 6. So my remainder is 6, so that leaves me with 5 whole units, or 5 whole cups, and 6 eighths. 6 eighths will reduce by a factor of 2. So my final simplified answer would be 5 and 3/4. So 46 fluid ounces is the same as 5 and 3/4 of a cup. Okay, make sure that's all written nice and neat.